So can my big block 420 Doodlebug mini bike put the power down with this 30 series torque converter? So in the last couple of videos, I smoked 2 of these generic clutches, and it's a pretty much stock 420, other than the 30 millimeter PZ carb, a header pipe, and then the internal and external governor removed. But it puts out so much torque down low that it just smokes these clutches. So the best 0 to 30 time I was able to get with the clutch slipping was a 3.24 0 to 30 and pretty close to 60 miles an hour. So this time around, I'm gonna throw the 30 series torque converter on there, and then I'll take it back out for the same test, and we'll see if you can beat those times. So I think I'm gonna try a 30 series on this bike first because of room constraints with the Doodlebug frame. I mean, because this is a lot smaller than a 40 series that I have on the other bike. So I have the CT200UEX, which is running a 420. But this one here is running a 34 millimeter Mikuni carb, a built rod, built flywheel. This one has a 308 cam with the springs. So I figured I'd run the 40 series on this bike. I mean, because it puts down a lot more torque, a lot more power. But the 40 series is quite a bit bigger than that 30 series. So hopefully the 30 series will fit a lot better on the Doodlebug. Yeah, so this 420 is definitely hard on these clutches. I mean, I didn't burn this one up as bad as the other one, but it still slips quite a bit when you first take off. And I was able to measure the clutch engagement with the black box dyno. So I have a black box dyno on this bike, and this device not only measures torque and speed, but it measures the clutch engagement, which is really cool. So I was able to tell that I wasn't putting the power down. I mean, you could tell on the bike, but you could actually read it on the graph that we were leaving a lot of power on the table with the clutch. I'm kind of worried about that brace right there. I might have to cut that thing down or notch the torque converter. Move this engine up as far as possible. It'll give me some more room. And then another thing I could do is raise the back of the engine. But the only thing is, on this big block, I don't have a lot of room on this Doodlebug frame. So I mean, I can raise it up a little bit, which might help the center exhaust I have for this thing. I have a center exhaust for this, but the only thing was, it would hit the bar right there because the engine was just a little bit too low. I mean, I had this plate I could throw under there. I think it's too much, because if you look, I only have like, I don't know, a couple inches right there. And this thing would raise it up higher than that. I don't think that might be too much. All I need is just a little bit. You can tell all I need is just, I don't know, just a small amount, because this pipe almost fits on there. But it hits the bar down there. If it was raised up just a little bit, maybe like an inch, should be perfect. So I have this aluminum plating that I could use. It's 1/4 inch thick, and I have a few of them. I can actually stack them and move the engine up, but I think I'm just gonna go ahead and move that bar anyway, that brace, just to get it out of the way of the chain. And I don't want it to end up with this bar interfering with the chain. I mean, I don't know if it will or not, but I think I'm just gonna go ahead and remove this, and then I can always throw a brace across if I need to. So that should work. I'll throw a little bit of paint on that just to match up that frame. So I got the brace off of there, and hopefully this chain is short enough where the bike doesn't flex enough to throw the chain. I mean, I doubt if it'll throw the chain, but if it does, like I said, I'll weld a brace between here and here. And another thing I need to do is lop this off for the oil plug, because this interferes with the torque converter. This 30 series hits the oil plug. All right, so that should do it. So the torque converter won't quite fit on this big block anyway, because the oil fill spout is in the way. So it kind of throws the torque converter up just a little bit so the bolt holes don't align, but that's an easy fix because you can see it right up in there hitting. So all I have to do is, because this thing is threaded probably, I don't know, an inch down into there, I can lop this part off right here so the converter will set down farther, and then the oil plug will still thread in there. And I could also grind this down here on the torque converter itself a little bit, and then if I need any more, I'll go ahead and grind that down a little bit. Might as well do a quick oil change on this while I'm at it. So that's one way to make sure it has clean oil. Pull the side cover off. Get that nice and flat. That should do it to it. And that knocked it down, I don't know, like over 1/4 of an inch for sure. So that'd probably help it out. So that should do it. It actually touches the oil plug down there, but just barely. So I think that'll work. So now I have to swap out that 35 sprocket for the 40. .35 off, and then the 40 back on. So that's going to be a nice short chain. So I'll go ahead and cut it right there. So that's a very short chain, so I don't think I'll have any issues with it falling off. But man, I think that sprocket might be too big with that 10 tooth on the front. I mean, this thing's going to be a wheelie machine. I might end up having to throw that 40 sprocket back on there. That's a big sprocket for running a 10 tooth on the front, but we shall see. So the key to making this belt last a long time, or one of the keys, is getting this thing in alignment. So let me throw this washer on here real quick, or these washers, and we'll see how close this thing is to being in alignment. I mean, it's almost in alignment, but not quite. I mean, it needs a little bit thicker washer. So that seems a lot better. So it's pretty darn close anyway. So I got the pipe bolted on there, and the engine is up just a little bit. I loosened up the motor mount, so the pipe's holding the engine up. So now I'll heat this and bend this pipe up just a little bit, maybe like a 1/2 inch. So I got my wet rag on here, and I'll go ahead and heat it right there, and then bend it up. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? So we are at 1 inch off the bar, far enough away from the seat. So the exhaust turned out pretty good. It's pretty close to in the center and definitely far enough away from the frame now. It'll be interesting to hear what that long pipe sounds like on there compared to that short pipe. And also it'll be interesting to see how the 30 series push down power compared to a 40 series on this big block. So last time around I did 3.24 and 59.23. So now all there is to do is go test this thing out, and hopefully it has some kind of a top speed with a 50 rear sprocket on here.
Black 66! Black 66! Black 66! Black 66!
Yeah, pipe sounds pretty good. Let's see if I can launch this thing. I'll get on it slow at first and we'll see what happens. Whoa! This thing pulls wheelies with ease. I mean, you just barely get on it. All right, let me try it again. I did a 4-second right there, 4.02, and I just barely got on it, man. I mean, it's just instant. All right, there was a 3.27, and that wasn't even trying. It's like an art form trying to figure out how to launch this thing. There was a 3.31, and that's not even getting on it. This thing is a beast. This thing is a monster. I'll see if I can maybe get it into the 2 seconds, but it needs like a giant wheelie bar. I mean, if I can launch it, let's see. All right, there's a 320 right there. All right, let me see if I can get it. Almost at a 2 right there, at 3.04. All right, I know I can get this into the 2s. I know I can get this into the 2s without flipping over backwards. All right, let's see if I can do it again. See if I can beat 3.04. There we go. That right there was a 2.86, and that was barely getting on it. I mean, barely. So a 2.86, and that's not even trying. I mean, if you can put the power down, you can probably get this thing into the 1 second range like an electric bike. We'll see if it has any kind of top speed. Man, it gets speed quick, I'll tell you that. I mean, really quick. don't know, a little over 50 mile an hour top speed with this gear on it. This thing definitely could use a taller gear. I mean, totally could use a taller gear. Because you cannot even put the power down at all without this thing just launching the front end. But the pipe sounds fantastic. Man, that pipe sounds awesome. Tops out around 50, a little over. Definitely needs more gear. And then I could probably launch it a little bit even better. Man, this thing is totally electric bike quick if you could put the power down without doing a giant wheelie. So without even trying, this bike did 2.86 from 0 to 30. And then we lost a lot of top speed, 51.47. So this thing did a 2.86 from 0 to 30, and that's just letting the bike slowly roll forward on its own at first, and then slowly getting into it. I mean, you cannot even put the power down without doing a giant wheelie. And then the top speed lost about, I don't know, what, 8 miles per hour? So it definitely needs more of a highway gear, because that way I could get a better top speed, and then maybe, kinda, sorta, be able to launch this thing. The pipe sounds fantastic. And at least now I know, at least on this big block, the 30 series definitely puts down the power. I mean, it has no problem on this bike. I think because the bike is light,